Finally, the battle you've all been waiting for. We have Polkadot versus Cosmos. Who is the better layer 0 network? Well, in today's video, you're in luck because we are going to finally actually find out. This video is going to be very interesting, entertaining, and hopefully enjoyable for all of you guys. Now, I've got Polkadot in the red corner. Now, why is Dot in the red corner? Well, it's simply the higher market cap. It's the defending champion. And in the blue corner, right, the aggressor, okay, the attacker, the opposition, we have Cosmos. Okay, now Cosmos is a great network in its own right, but its market cap's about half of what Polkadot's is. So that's the metric I've decided to use to kind of differentiate the both, okay? 7 rounds of fun. As we go through the different rounds, we're going to knock off the ring of the loser of that round so we can kind of follow who's actually winning and who's actually losing. It's going to be interesting, trust me, okay? I love this one. Now, you guys voted, so I suggest staying tuned for next week. I'm going to do one of these videos every single week. Polkadot, you guys, 813 votes, wow, okay? But Polkadot definitely won this at 69%, lol.
Insubordinate and churlish.
And Cosmos came in at 31%, all right? So you guys definitely think Polkadot's better, but let's see if you actually know your stuff, all right? Now, I want you to pause the video right now and let me know which one of the two you think is going to win. I don't care if you're going to look weird in the comments. Go down there right now, tell me which one, then edit your post after the video's done and see if you actually won. There's no wrong answers, guys. It's, you know, it's not bad being wrong. First things first, right? Polkadot is not a security. The SEC deemed officially that it's not, and that's very, very bullish, okay? Cosmos right now, we don't know. It could be, it might not be. Again, it's uncertain, so I wanted to just say that for the record. But let's talk some stats, right? Polkadot has 1,000 TPS. Right now, Cosmos has 10,000, a 10x increase. Polkadot plans to have an upgrade soon that will boost per parachain the TPS to 100K to 1 million. And Cosmos technically is infinite, but we'll get into why in just a sec, right? Finality speaking, 12-second finality for Polkadot, 7-second finality for Cosmos. So far, Cosmos is doing a great job. And again, you know, Polkadot with that same upgrade plans to drop the finality down to 6 seconds, okay? Now this next topic is gonna pretty much decide this round. It's the most important thing because we're not just talking layer 0 networks, we're talking interoperability, right? So how well they connect with other networks, and that depends on their, you know, interchain messaging protocols, right? So for Polkadot, we have XCM and XCMP. For Cosmos, we have IBC. Now, which one's better? Well, I'm gonna give you the answer in just a sec, but I honestly do prefer Polkadot, and I've kind of spoiled it already, haven't I, right? But because Polkadots, you can pretty much send one transaction to one message rather, and that can interact with any parachain, any dApp you want in one single message, bounce around, and then send it back to you with pressing a button, right? More or less. Whereas Cosmos, IBC is pretty much, it's a little bit more stagnated than that, right? You're gonna have to do multiple transactions at certain stages. And so, I mean, this is sort of like a personal preference, right? Because there are definite benefits of IBC than XCM and XCMP, but we'll kind of get to those in a minute, right? So anyway, Polkadot, you can have a maximum of 100 parachains connected to the network with an infinite amount of para threads, pay-as-you-go parachains, right? Or Cosmos, they can have infinite chains, and that's connected together through hubs and zones. So this is kind of how IBC works. A hub is like a Cosmos hub. It like connects different sort of virtual machines together. So a Cosmos hub connects a whole bunch of networks to it. And then if they wanted to scale that up, they can just create another hub that can obviously boost TPS to a certain amount, which is kind of how they get infinite TPS. And the zones are just independent networks in their own right, okay? So you can kind of see when the hubs connect together and all that sort of stuff, you can pretty much just create an endless sea of connected networks, okay? Now, there are 297 validators on Polkadot, whereas Cosmos only has 175. The average fee on Polkadot is about 0.5 cent more than the average fee on Cosmos. So let's just summarize, right? Polkadot is restricted with parachains, but this can actually create token demand. When all 100 parachains are actually on the network functioning, you know, there's going to be a buildup of networks eventually, 20, 30, 50 networks that want to become a parachain, and therefore that's going to create some serious token demand. And parathreads, as I said before, are infinite, okay? But Cosmos, right? Cosmos can create an endless sea of independent blockchains. Each are sovereign networks, yet connect so-called seamlessly, okay? Now, which do I think is better? Again, there is so much more to discuss. The intricacies go a lot deeper than just saying this stuff. So I've kind of summarized this as best as I can by, you know, which one obviously wins. And that is Polkadot. Okay, so Polkadot takes round 1. there's 1.4 million followers on Polkadot's Twitter, about a third of that on Cosmos. Now, Polkadot has 27,000 followers on Telegram compared to Cosmos's 19,000, but they both have pretty much the same amount of active online users, okay? Now, Polkadot has 1.1 million holders, whereas Cosmos has 1.6, so quite a bit more, right? However, this is obviously talking about the socials, so how many social mentions are there? Well, Polkadot wins that, obviously. There's more social engagements on Polkadot, and they both have equal social dominance. So, based on the social standings, right, who has the better social following? Well, Polkadot does, okay? So, Polkadot's got 1 and 2 rounds up their belt. Now, let's take a look at round 3. Round 3 is more on-chain stuff, okay? So, the mainnet date of Polkadot was May 2020, comparatively March 2019, so 1 year earlier for Cosmos, okay? Now the transfers since mainnet, Cosmos just blows Polkadot out of the water at 32 million, and the blocks since mainnet are pretty much the same, meaning that there's a hell of a lot more demand for, obviously, Cosmos, right? Now the daily active users, Polkadot is an abysmal 6,500 active users. Pretty sure there's more people on my YouTube channel than that. And over here we have 17,700 for Cosmos, okay? Now this itself actually isn't that good either. So I want to say that for the record, but obviously it definitely blows Polkadot out of the water, all right? Now this is what I actually love, right? So the dispersion of tokens in the top 100 wallets, Polkadot has a 72.29%, which I want to say isn't actually bad. It's not the best, but it's definitely not bad. But Cosmos just smokes Polkadot in this case, right? 55.97, that's actually quite good. That's a good amount of dispersion there, okay? So obviously, Cosmos wins round 3. Now, round 4, let's talk about the investors, okay? Polkadot has about $336 million total equity raised. Cosmos, a minuscule 17 million. The best investors smoke Cosmos, even though some of them are the exact same, okay? So I'm not going to even bother hyping this round up. Round 4 obviously goes to Polkadot. Now, I want to say for the record, Cosmos has to win the next 3 rounds to win, okay? So all you Cosmos fanboys, hold your seats.
Hold on to your butts.
Round 5. Let's talk about the ecosystem. So Polkadot has about $1.48 billion in total AUM. Now this is live parachains, so I have to actually go through each and every single live parachain and figure out what their market cap was, and let's just call it AUM, right? So please hit the like button for that. That took me longer than expected to figure out, as much as I would not like to admit that. Now Cosmos has a total of 8.27 billion AUM. Now this is just like Polkadot, this is actually IBC connected networks, not Cosmos SDK networks, okay? Now the total network TVL is 40% on Polkadot, and the total network TVL is 68% on Cosmos, so Cosmos smokes Polkadot in that case. The ecosystem size, again, live parachains, 21. Again, live, not total parachains. And the ecosystem size on Cosmos, aka IBC connected networks, is 46. Again, pretty much double, right? Now, the best projects on Polkadot, this is important because this is where token demand is pretty much used, right? People want to use the token itself because it needs to obviously interact with these sort of networks, okay? So we're talking about independent, parachains or independent networks for Cosmos, okay, not dApps. So we have Moonbeam, Acer, Aleph Zero, and I can never pronounce this name. Let's just call it BitSensor, right? They're actually really good networks in their own right. They're very, very quality, but Cosmos just smokes that out of the water. Osmos is a huge DeFi application network, rather. We have Carver and Layer 1 network as well, super big. Crypto.com, need I say more? And one of my favorite networks right now is Axelar, okay? So yeah, in my opinion, Cosmos absolutely wins round 5, okay? Going good. Now, okay, developers. Let's talk about devs. Now, I want to say for the record, both of these networks have within the top, I think it's 6 in terms of developers. Polkadot's number 2, full-time devs, and Cosmos is definitely up there, okay? They're both really good, okay? So full-time devs, 752, versus 511. Monthly active devs, 2,000. God, I can never get that right. 1,700, right? And then total commits, Polkadot's double that, right, of Cosmos. So, yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Polkadot wins round 6, but stay tuned around 7. Let's see if it's a total wipeout or if Cosmos can bring it back with some dignity. So inflation. So inflation on Polkadot 7.22%. It maxes out at 10%. Cosmos is over here at 16.717 rather, and it goes between 7 and 20% quite frequently. Again, that's quite high, but Cosmos does have quite a high APY for, when you delegate your tokens to one of the nodes, okay? But still, if you're a regular Atom holder, you're getting quite diluted, which is not what I like to see, okay? Now, the total / max supply for both of these guys is infinite. The market cap for Polkadot is double that of Cosmos. However, the total ratio between market cap and 24-hour volume is in favor of Cosmos. But the total defensibility token score, I'm giving Polkadot 7 out of 10, and Cosmos gets a 5 out of 10. But we've got to remember airdrops are involved. So what's this score? Well, this score is pretty much how well the actual token captures value, creates that moat in the network, so people need to actually buy the DOT or Atom token, right? And so I've given Polkadot a 7 out of 10 because, in my opinion, those parachain auctions are going to be extremely beneficial for Polkadot in the next 5 to 7 years, okay? When those parachains are fully rolled out and there's demand for the parachain slots themselves. Now, Cosmos, I probably could have rated this a bit higher, probably a 6.5, maybe even a 7 out of 10 because of the airdrop factor, but it definitely doesn't beat Polkadot, so I felt a bit, like Polkadot's definitely a 7, and I didn't want to rate it an 8 because this was going to be a 7, right? Because I definitely think Polkadot's is better, but, airdrops are pretty important for Cosmos. A lot of people do hold Atom tokens because there are so many airdrops thanks to those zones spinning up, okay? So I want to say that for a fact. So, a bit of a bonus there for Cosmos. Now, the Polkadot's revenue is $444,000 in the last 12 months, opposed to Cosmos revenue is only $12,000 in the last year. And that's pretty much because, as far as I'm aware, the Cosmos developers haven't actually sort of created any sort of demand for those cross-chain transfers, right? There's no value capture there. Once they do find a way to capture that value, then I believe, Cosmos's revenue is just going to go through the roof, right? But right now it is dwarfed by Polkadot's, okay? So, well, of course, Polkadot wins round 7. Therefore, Polkadot wins 5 out of the 7 rounds. And still, the undisputed, let's just call it layer 0 network of the world, Polkadot, right? So, guys, look, that's going to summarize today's video. If you did want to learn more, follow me on Twitter, but also subscribe to me on YouTube. These videos take a very long time, and I'm going to try to bring them out once a day, right? So if you did enjoy, again, leave a like. Let me know what you think down below. Of course, everyone's going to have their own opinions on this topic. I hold both tokens. They're both great networks, and we'll truly see them flourish over the next, 5 to 10 years, okay? So right now, we're a bit early, I must admit, but that's kind of, facts speak for themselves. All right, guys, take care. Talk to you soon.